Hi, I'm Diego. I recently just redesigned a new scene from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and the scene that I decided on redesigning was where the big bad wolf had entrapped Puss in a ring of fire and he ultimately had to fight for his life. So after producing inside of Audio Design Desk, I brought the project back inside of FL Studio and I started mixing the project. So I'm going to show you a few of the sounds that I ended up choosing, and hopefully it gives you some insight and some ideas on how you go about choosing sounds, and hopefully this helps. So this is the original mix. Alrighty, so let's go over the individual sounds. So I ended up splitting this whole entire scene into 3 sections. So for the first section, I called the walk up, where Puss in Boots actually tumbles, he slides, his sword stabs, and the wolf starts approaching Puss. So that was the walk up section. So we have this sound. It's a big thump. We also have an extra layer just to add some realism to that. Together, both of these samples create that sense of feeling that he's tumbling on ice. On to the next sounds, we have him sliding. It's very spread out towards the top. It's more mid-range and high-end heavy. And we also have the sword that hits the ice. And then we have footsteps. I believe these are just kicks that I ended up using. And in this section, he takes a step back. And that right there, I just really wanted to capture it. So he keeps walking. And then we get to the section where it shows the camera zoom out through the flames. And I wanted to capture that as well. For that sample, I chose this swoosh impact. I have some automation going on that stops the delay from overpowering the mix and making it sound muddy. And after the transition, we go into where the big bad wolf swings his scythe and then comes back down into Puss's blade, and they make impact. So for the first sound here, we have him swinging his scythe. For this sound, I really wanted to capture that heaviness. And then I also added this sound here, this sound. So together, both of these sounds. And in order to blend these sounds together, I added another swoosh, like a swell hit that I ended up using. And this is how that one sounds. Which is pretty cool. I like those moments inside movies where it's, where you get this dramatic theatrical impact. And then last thing here, we do see the swords clashing here. And everything so far has been low end heavy, but I missed the top end clash that happens right there with these two swords. And we don't get that with these samples. So this sample here actually brings that aspect into this whole scene here. Together we get this sound. And the beauty about this is when you're sound designing, you choose several different sounds that at the end, it'll just make up one big sample that sounds massive. But yeah, and we also have this sound here where where the picture shows him struggling to hold it together. So we have, some extra details. I think that makes the scene a little bit better. Let's see here. On to the next section here. We have him sliding through. He grabs his hat. He makes a few spin moves, pushes away the side of the big bad wolf, and then decides to, I'm going to run through his legs. I'm going to get to the other side, grab my sword, jump, do the superhero flip, and then come back down to a superhero landing, which is pretty cool. And then at the end, we have him spinning his blade. Okay, so let's go over that section. So we have this sound here. Cool. Actually, let's do just the... Awesome. Yeah, so there's a few spin moves that he does. And then there's this other spin move here. I think it really brings the scene together. I also wanted to capture him moving the sword away from the wolf to get some distance. So let's hear that. And as you can tell, it looks like it's the exact same sample as the one before, but at the same time it works. So why not? So let's go ahead and turn that off. And then let's go into the section where he runs through his legs and he makes the jump and the landing. So there's a few samples here that I chose for that. Here's the first one. Whoops. Both of these samples, they capture the wolf swinging his scythe again towards Puss as he runs through his legs. So this is how that sounds. Okay, and then in order to capture him running through, we do have some boot sounds again. And it sounds funny on its own, but in the mix, it sounds good. We also have, and we have a few other things here as well. We have this sample. I believe this is his sword. As he runs towards his sword, he picks it up, and I decided to add that sound effect as well. So we have these samples, and then we have these other samples here that together they create that jump and that superhero landing. And all of that is made up of a few sounds, so let's go over that really quick. So this is the first sound. Another swoosh. We have a boot sound. Yep, there you go. We have a stomp. Give it some weight. More boot sounds to give it more of an attack, more in your face, as the other one is a little bit more in the background, giving it depth. And then I believe there's one more. Yep, there's this one. Oh, as he comes back down, he actually swings his sword. Let's see if I can capture that a little bit better. Boom. There you go. Before we hear the whole thing, I did forget to talk about the ambience that actually brings these sounds together. One of those sounds is fire. It runs through the entire scene. We also have an eerie sample that creates the emotion of the wolf walking up to Puss and Puss pretty much seeing his life flash before his eyes. And towards the end, I also added another tonal sample. The wolf's face towards the end, it kind of says, what just happened? So, and last final one, we have just another, tonal air just to give it some depth. This one is more in the background, that one's more forward. And that's gonna be it for this scene. Let's go ahead and hear how the final version came out.
Say hello to my gatito blade.
Awesome. So that's going to be it for this sound design remake that I made for Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. Hopefully this has inspired you to grab one of your own favorite scenes from one of your own favorite movies and try to recreate it. And if you have any suggestions on how I could have done better or how I actually did, make sure to leave them down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.